Hi there, Richard Brook, Acupuncture and Yoga teacher here. So I'm in the most privileged position today of actually being out teaching yoga and doing acupuncture at a retreat out in Italy. So I'm just going to quickly show you around so you can see where we are. So there's the retreat centre, pretty idyllic, extremely green, lush setting. It's pretty perfect really. So I thought what better time than to do a blog about stress when I'm in such an anti-stress backdrop, if you like. Okay, so the first thing to think about with any degree of imbalance is what would the ideal be? Because sometimes it's difficult to come out of an imbalanced state unless you know where you're going and what you're intending to move towards. And essentially, it's what is already instinctively within us that we're moving back towards before things start to get a bit jumbled up and turn into a bit of a mess. So let's rewind a little bit and maybe we can figure out what that once was. So let's go back to maybe when you were a kid. So you notice as a kid, you'll get up in the morning, you've got energy, which will drive you out into the world. You feel a natural volition to follow your interests, whatever that might be. And then you get a little bit tired, so you come home, rest, you sleep, and you get up again, you do the same thing the next day. So there's a natural outward movement into the world, and then there's a natural inward movement back inside to rest and replenish to send you back out again. And essentially this is the principles of yin and yang. Now I'm not going to talk too much about yin and yang today because the focus is a little bit more on yourself, but essentially it's the two polarities between inward movement and outward movement that's inherent in everything. So it's a little bit of a natural law. So if you think about day and night, you think about winter and summer, you've always got this outward movement and this inner contraction again. How this applies in this situation is I'd like you to think therefore that you've got organs within the body. You've got, say, let's say 6 organs. We've got 12 major internal organs, and let's say 6 of them are there to guide us out into the world, to take us out into experience. So maybe they provide us, or we can see that they provide us with the inspiration, the willpower, the passion, the fuel, the planning and decision making in order to take us out and get things done. And then we've also got organs within the body, for example the other 6, which then draw us back in and restore us in order to send us back out again. So within that cycle there, within that yin and yang cycle, just identify different phases within it, different things within it, which gives us the capacity to move out, then the capacity to return back in again. So essentially that's the 5 elements within yin and yang. Right, so that's inherent, that's instinctive. But where things start to go wrong then is as we start to grow up and get a little bit older, we tend to either have structures within our life or different forces acting on us which kind of skew this balance a little bit. So instead of maybe getting up in the morning, feel this natural volition to go out, to move through the day, to get things done via our inspiration, willpower, passion, fuel, whatever it is, instead it all becomes a little bit of a mess. Maybe we get up in the morning, maybe we don't really feel like doing whatever we're meant to do. Then we go to work and we sit down all day. And then we come home and our energy wants to go back inside so we can rest. But it's like, oh, I've got another 15 emails to do. I need to call my mother-in-law. Whatever it is, whatever the numerous things are, the other forces that act on you, which mess with this little bit of balance of outward movement and inward movement. So again, just going backwards slightly and relating that to what's happening in the body, we therefore will have organs now that start to get overworked and other organs which are no longer getting their time to rest that they need. So let's take a specific example. So I like to use the liver, because in the Western world a lot of us have got a little bit of a liver energetic imbalance. So your liver is primarily one of the organs which enables you to make plans and decisions which move you out into the world. So if you overwork and you overthink and you've got too much to do, your liver energy is overstimulated and overactive because you're constantly thinking, right, I've got to do this, 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 and this, and this. So there's a state of heat which becomes inherent within the liver itself, and it becomes stressed. So as that happens, as your kind of liver energy starts to stress out a little bit, the organs then which are there to pull you back inside start to get depleted. So we get the action organs going into stress and increase in their sort of their heat levels, and their yang basically starts to ascend. And then all the yin organs which are meant to pull you back inside start to get depleted, so you get this little bit of an imbalance. But as with all things that are identified within Chinese medicine, there's a relationship between things. So it's not just the liver alone which will start to feel stressed. You'll have this situation that occurs where the liver actually starts to get hot, and that heat starts to invade across a little bit into your stomach and spleen, so our appetite starts to go down. You get this heat that becomes oppressive underneath the heart, and our sense of joy starts to deplete. Your adrenals become overactivated to provide the force, as it were, to try and keep up with the amount of work that you've got to do, and your digestion all gets into a little bit of a state because your body's not got enough time to process what you've been eating. That is, if you even feel like you're still having a chance to sit down and eat properly. So basically you get this pattern that becomes like a bit of a mess. Now essentially, if that didn't go on for too long, you might be able to go home, have a few good nights sleep, and the body reverts back to something like normal. But the more common state of affairs as we move into adulthood is that these patterns become a little bit more inherent in the body. So it's not just as if, okay, I'll go away, I'll have a couple of good nights sleep, then I'm going to feel better. You get organs which move into a rhythmical pattern and a rhythmical relationship to one another that's already imbalanced. Hence we might need to have a week off or 2 weeks off. We go on holiday, and bit by bit we start to unwind. But what we're looking for, like I said, we need to find a way out of this picture, back into something that's more whole in the first place. So we need to look at the structure of our life and whether it's allowing us the capacity and mirroring our own kind of yin and yang, if you like. So we've got the structures around us which provide us with an appropriate amount of movement out into the world. And then we've also got the structures and times and the capacity around us to go back in again. That's the first thing we need to look at. And then we also need to look at removing from the body, or rebalancing within the body, the little bit of a mess that we've got into, essentially. And that's where the acupuncture and yoga comes in. So with the acupuncture, we actually needle points that enable the energy of the organ, or the energetic functions of the organs, to return back to a state of balance. So if you came for acupuncture treatment, we'd work on that level. And obviously when we do yoga, takes a lot of stress out your system. You're actually obviously physically moving your muscles and flesh, the fascia of the body, connective tissue, so it alleviates the stress. And then at the end, particularly with my style of yoga that I teach, I like it to be quite relaxing. We have a big long deep relaxation where your nervous system is a lot more still, and it enables your energy to come back inside. Because what you need, if you think about it, if you've got a lifestyle that's pushing your energy out to such a strong degree outwardly, you need not just maybe the regular thing of coming home and sleeping. You need things that pull you back the other way. So you need amplified relaxation techniques if you want to come back to balance, particularly if you've got an ongoing pattern of stress outside of yourself that's overexerting you. Then in your week, you might need 2 or 3 things that amplify your relaxation response. And eventually the body starts to get the message a little bit more. So every 2 or 3 days, if you're doing something that really relaxes you, you can even do something like a little bit of meditation in there as well. Your nervous system starts to come back to normal. And then some of the other patterns within the body might also start to rebalance. The appetite might come back. Some of the tension might start to alleviate from the system. Because one of the other effects of when you get a little bit of liver heat is the body tends to tighten up, so the liver's actually responsible for your ligaments and tendons, so you get this state of tension that occurs as well. So what I like to do within my school of work is not just to work on your physicality, but also to maybe to educate a little bit about some of these principles. Because like I said, without the map, how are you meant to know where to go? How are you meant to return back to this more natural, authentic state? And the map is very essential for some of us. Some of us like to have the intellectual principle in our mind of where we're moving back to. But I said, don't forget that the map, as with any map, is actually just a mirror of what actually already is. So within you is already this capacity for balance and this natural movement of forces. You just sometimes need to sort of reboot the map in your mind to make some sense of things and move back towards it. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for today. So if you feel like coming and checking out what I do, have a look at creativeyogalondon.co.uk. So I do all kinds of different yoga classes, including yoga work, which connects you with people. So the yoga classes for single people, and the yoga classes where we go afterwards and have a social. I don't like just to meet the needs of the physical body. I also like to meet the needs of the heart in what I do. And obviously interested in acupuncture, check out richardbrookacupuncture.co.uk. Come along for a treatment, and you know, we'll get straight to work on making you feel a little bit better about things. Okay, you take care, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye bye.